Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, sovereign thinkers. This is the L3's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Swampy Mango, South Florida. And today's date is Thursday, May 30th, 2019. Yeah, I decided to do another show today, my friends, and just a little browsing. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to my last episode on the Bilderberg, plus a few others with Julian Assange and freedom of speech. But I want to do a couple here, which I'm very disappointed on what happened. And the funny thing about it, I heard this rumor that Ron DeSantis will be signing that Anti-Semitism bill, Florida's Anti-Semitism bill, in Israel, which he did. Why is that, sir? Why do you have to sign it in a foreign nation instead of in Tallahassee? So we're going to do a couple of articles on here about it, and mainly this came from FloridaPolitics.com. Came out yesterday, and it says here, Ron DeSantis signing bill banning anti-Semitism in schools. First bill signed in Florida history on foreign soil. This is by A.G. Karnowski. As it reads here in Jerusalem, it says here, Governor Ron DeSantis signed legislation Wednesday in Jerusalem banning anti-Semitism in Florida public schools. This legislation was effective upon signing the first bill in history signed on foreign soil. The governor was flanked by leading legislators and cabinet members, a symbol of enthusiastic support for this legislation among elected officials. By this side, while he signed the bill, was State Representative Randy Fine, the House sponsor of the legislation, whose efforts were the key to the bill becoming law. Fine, who is Jewish, told a story about how he was in 7th grade and failed algebra because he missed a test on Yom Kippur, which his teacher said wasn't a real holiday. I swore when my boys were born that wouldn't happen to them. Fine said, before recounting stories of anti-Semitic words and deeds in public schools today. Every single member voted for this without a no vote, Fine said, because of the men and women they are. DeSantis noted that this was a uniform agreement in standing against anti-Semitism. The bill is very clear about what we're talking about, DeSantis said, regarding use of textiles in public education institutions. I think it sends a strong message about where Florida is, the governor added, noting security funding in the new budget. The bill was framed as a deterrent measure by a governor against institutions or rogue structures trying to spew anti-Semitism. Maybe it dissuades offer a course connection, DeSantis said. It's limited. The K-20 context has got to be administered consistent with the First Amendment. Added Fine, whenever the policy is regarding race, schools have to treat anti-Semitism the same way regarding such content in classrooms. It's funny because the whole Yom Kippur thing, yes, is considered a religious holiday. That should have been an excuse. I went to school in Florida. I can say that. All right? And I'll continue on here. Fine also note the bill does not ban criticism of Israel. When you single out Israel or use any anti-Semitic quotes, that is anti-Semitic. Holocaust denies another example of anti-Semitism. What interest does a Florida education institution having in hiring somebody who denies the Holocaust, the governor added. So, in these public institutions, you can't talk about free speech. That's dangerous, my friends. That's considered crossing the Rubicon over our Florida Supreme Law. And I'll continue on here. Landmakers passed the bill unanimously last month and sent it to DeSantis last week. He has long been expected to sign the bill during the Israel trip. Law adds religion as a protected class in the state education system. It requires any religious discrimination against students or employees be treated in the same manner as other protected classes. I'm not going to argue with that area. It's like very gray. And don't get me wrong, I was critical. Like, I understand some of the elements, and I did wrote that to my letter to both my elected servants and Governor DeSantis on this. And I will post my last show on it. It was on my past show about HB 741 breaches the Florida Constitution. So I'm going to proceed here. Prior to DeSantis' signature, those protected classes were race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, marital status, and disability. Most lawmakers agree with the core of the bill, sponsored by Fine, though it was not without controversy. Notably, Senator Democratic leader Audrey Gibson of Jacksonville voted against the measure in the committee, citing the bill's focus on anti-Semitism rather than broader religious discrimination. She later reversed her stance, though others have echoed those concerns since the bill's passage. In late April, a group, about 30 prominent Jewish Floridians, sent a letter to DeSantis saying the bill goes too far by equating criticism of the Israeli government with anti-Semitism. Their opposition is based on examples of anti-Semitism included in legislation such as applying a double standard to Israel by requiring behavior of Israel that is not expected or demanded or any other democratic nation, or focusing peace or human rights investigations on Israel. Fine has brushed those comments aside. There are 700,000 Jews in Florida. The fact that 32 don't want to ensure their own children and grandchildren be protected in school is disappointing, but not news, he said at the same time. So if you're gonna have someone at a university claim to be a Holocaust denier, you gotta call them anti-Semitic. Those we have discussions in these matter, and they don't want that, and that's not good either. And don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna go Jew bashing and like that. To me, that's irrelevant to this particular subject. But one of the areas I find it real gray, because some people are going to expect hate speech at these universities and public institutions. Hate speech is protected under Article 1, Section 4 of the Florida Constitution. No ands, ifs, or buts. Okay, you got to expect people criticize Jews who are bankers. All right, and there's some dark side history of that as well, but I'm not going to go after the entire group. They have their categories in these areas as well. But one of the areas you have to see, too, my friends, that Semites are mainly people from the Southwest Asia. And I did talk about that. But before that, I'm going to do another one from the Contempt Bay Times. It says here, Ron DeSantis signs bill that takes aim at anti-Semitism. Proposal will add a religious protected class when it comes to discrimination against students and employees. Flanked by Florida elected officials in Israel, Governor Ron DeSantis on Wednesday ceremonially signed a measure that prohibits anti-Semitic speech in the state public schools and universities. The proposal will add religion as protected class when it comes to discrimination against students and employees. Currently, people are protected from discrimination based on race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, marital status, or disability. The legislation lays out examples of what would be considered anti-Semitism, including making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews, the power of Jews as a collective, such as the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. So they don't try to shut people down with that thought process. And you got many out there that are Jewish, are running these areas. But I'm going to attack the Jews as a whole. Like I said, no way. But I will proceed. The bill, HB 741, also defines anti-Semitism as accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than the interests of their nation. So you can't include the Arabs. They can't include. They're not including the Arabs, the Hebrews. They're probably Jews. The Hebrews, the Antisemites, and the Phoenicians. They're all Semites, but only one particular group. So right there, it's been misinterpreted. The measure will also ban certain speech against the state on Israel on campuses, such as applying double standards to Israel by requiring behavior of Israel that is not expected or demanded in any other democratic nation, or focusing peace or human rights investigations only on Israel. Give me a break right there. It's invalid. A prohibited law on Article 1, Section 10, but I'll continue. The proposal aimed at curbing anti-Semitism, however, makes clear criticism of Israel is allowed if it's similar to criticism toward any other country. At ceremonial signing ceremony in Jerusalem, of all places, Wednesday, DeSantis, who has vowed to become the most pro-Israel governor in America. Bend over for the Star of David. Hallelujah. I'm not being anti-Semitic either, folks. This is very dangerous. He should be the most pro-Florida governor in America, not the other way around. Said the measure ends a strong statement about where Florida is. State Representative Randy Fine, a Palm Bay Republican who championed the bill during the 2019 legislative session, was among the 100 lawmakers, university officials, and business leaders who joined DeSantis on a trade mission to Israel. Can we say Logan Act? Trade deal, according to this. That is unconstitutional, according to this article, folks. That's the federal government's job, not the states. Trade mission. Fine thanked the governor for allowing Florida to take a stance against anti-Semitic speech, what she said on the rise in the United States. I do this because I feel obligated because I'm a Jew. All Jewish children are going to be protected because of what you're doing here today. Fine told DeSantis. Thank you for signing this bill. Well, I'm sorry for all those individuals who support this unanimously officially breached their oath of office under Article 2, Section 5 of the Florida Constitution, including Governor DeSantis. I'm not saying go around being egregious towards anyone, including the Jewish community. That means violate their space, harassment, and anything like that. That's a totally different ballgame. That's one thing I don't like, because it does not supersede the Florida Supreme Law. And like some people say, I see no mention of protection of Muslims in HB 741, which is true. Which he's right. That's what I'm telling you. And of course, someone should explain to Trump what anti-Semitic speeches are. That's not hot air as usual. One thing I tell folks, this is a very unhealthy viewpoint. So one of the areas you got folks need to pay attention to, because I did my thing on this. And you can read the actual bill itself, and it says it's a lot of double speak. And I'm going to add HB 741 as well, my past episode. And of course, if you look at anti-Semitism, all right, on Semites, this is from the Merriam Dictionary, and I wrote this letter to my fellow elected servants and DeSantis. I'm not going to go too bonkers, but the whole thing is, it is basis and repugnant. Okay? And according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the definition of Semite means a member of any number of peoples of ancient southwestern Asia, including Akkadians, Phoenicians, Hebrews, and Arabs. How come they excluded the other three? And this is the letter I wrote to him. I already sent this out to Tampa Bay Times. Tampa Bay Times, I did. I went, greetings, Governor DeSantis. Thank you for choosing Portland by signing HB 741, which violates Article 1, Sections 2, 4, and 10 of our state constitution. Furthermore, your oath of office emulates your Executive Order 19-14, suspending Broward County Sheriff Scott J. Israel, which he breaches oath of office under Article 2, Section 5, folks. Once again, another politician complying to foreign lobbyists make our American founding fathers such as John Jay and George Washington rolling in their graves. Fact, HB 741 shall never supersede Florida's supreme law. To my fellow DeSantis supporters and disciples, I would greatly suggest you examine Phyllis Papers 2 through 5 by John Jay and Washington's farewell address before defending Governor DeSantis' actions. Yes, I can criticize Governor DeSantis on this. It doesn't mean everything he signed or did was wrong. When he suspended Scott Israel, it was a meritable justification. He had plenty of ammunition to back it up, and I'm going to commend him. There's other areas about supporting the Florida Guardian program. I commend him for it. People better start reading what the Florida Guardian program is before shooting your mouths like some of these knuckleheads out there claiming to be journalists. They can't even right through on the rear ends. Sorry, this is how you gotta look at it. It's very disappointing. It can be challenged because it doesn't supersede the Florida Supreme Law. No ends, ifs, or buts. And doing it on a foreign soil is completely unacceptable. Now, I know I read a couple of days ago, I posted on Facebook and Twitter that some of the people in the press are filing a lawsuit against Governor DeSantis and many of the members of the Florida cabinet that went to Israel. They could have been there. Yeah, it is a conflict of interest, folks. Violating Florida Sunshine Law. And Article 1, Section 4, which is free speech in the press, and same article, Section 24. This is Florida related. It should have been open to the public. And it didn't do it in Israel. So you know what? I boldly oppose what they've done. And even Nikki Fried and anyone else that's in there should step down or be reprimanded. But all those folks in Tallahassee on this matter already sold themselves. I see a taste of discriminatory practice in the state of Florida, but I'll guarantee you one thing: it can be nullified by the people, even in jury selection, jury nullification. All you individuals out there have an oath to protect and defend the U.S. Constitution and the state Constitution. You sign that signature before you make your oath by signing that document or the register to vote. That's how I observe things. And I'm not a Jew hater. Period. This is repugnant, null and void. That's all I gotta say. Prove me wrong, folks, if you dare. With all due respect. We're gonna do one more. I know it's a little bit windy out here. And it's by the Rutherford Institute. And this one's came out today. It says U.S. Supreme Court upholds arrest over contempt of cop charge. Limits right to challenge police of use of retaliatory arrest to punish speech. In a setback, First Amendment rights, the U.S. Supreme Court has issued a ruling protecting police from lawsuits by persons arrested on bogus contempt of cop charges. So, ranging from resisting arrest and interference to disorderly conduct, obstruction, and failure to obey a police order. That result from lawful First Amendment activities, filming police, asking police questions, refusing to speak with police. In Neves versus Bartlett, the court ruled 6-3 to dismiss the case of Russell Bartlett, an Alaskan resident who was arrested after he refused to be interrogated by police and intervene after police attempted to question other people. Although the court recognized that people have the right to be free from retaliatory arrest over lawful First Amendment activities, it ruled that if the police have probable cause for the arrest, the person cannot sue for free speech violations unless they can show that someone else was not arrested for the same actions. Pretty unmeritable, I would say. Finally, in an amicus brief in Neves, the Rutherford Institute warned that overcriminalization makes it easy for police to weaponize the legal code in order to retaliate against individuals they perceive are challenging their authority. Justice Neil Gorsuch echoed this warning in his dissent. History shows that governments sometimes seek to regulate our lives finally, acutely, thoroughly, and exhaustively. In our time and place, criminal laws have grown so exemplarily and to come to cover so much previous innocent conduct that almost anyone can be arrested for something. If the state could use these laws not for their intended purpose, but to silence those who voice unpopular ideas, little would be left our First Amendment liberties, and little would separate us from the tyrannies of the past, of the malignant fivedoms of our own age. The freedom to speak without risking arrest is one of the principal characteristics by which we distinguish a free nation. Attorneys Aaron Glenn Busby and Lisa R. Escal of the Supreme Court Clinic at the University of Texas School of Law assisted the Institute in presenting the argument in the Neves amicus brief. For further information, see the Rutherford Institute's Constitutional Q&A rule of engagement for interacting with police. Increasingly, Americans are being arrested and charged with bogus contempt of cop charges, otherwise known as asserting your constitutional rights, that get trotted out anytime a citizen voices discontent with the government or challenges or even questions the authority of the powers that be. A constitutional attorney, John W. Whitehead, president of the Rutherford Institute and author of Battlefield America, The War on the American People. This case is yet another reminder that in the American police state, we the people are at the mercy of police who have almost absolute discretion to decide who is a threat, what constitutes resistance, and how harshly they can deal with the citizens they were appointed to serve and protect. In 2014, Russell Bartlett camped out with friends at Arctic Man, a multi-day annual event in the Hoodoo Mountains of Alaska that features snowmobiling, ski races, and attracts tens of thousands of people. While at a campsite party, Bartlett exercised his First Amendment right to refrain from speaking with the state trooper who was monitoring the event for underage alcohol consumption. Bartlett later intervened after observing another trooper questioning a fellow camper in what he believed was in a proper manner. At one point, one of the troopers reportedly caused Bartlett to stumble, then forced him to the ground, threatened to tase him if he resisted, and arrested him for disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. The charges were later dismissed. Bartlett sued, asserting that he was arrested in retaliation for challenging the trooper's authority. The Rutherford Institute, a nonprofit civil liberties organization, provides legal assistance at no charge to individuals whose constitutional rights have been threatened or violated. There's a case history on here, too, about citing bogus contempt of charges. October 10, 2018. Little history lesson. Well, you got to be strategic and methodical, folks. You have the right to remain silent, period. Even in Alaska's Constitution, I'm going to look it up right now when I'm rambling. I know it's real windy out here, but I had to put my 2 cents in on this matter. Because free speech is a natural right, period. You have the right to remain silent. You don't have to incriminate yourselves. You're able to use the Fifth Amendment, which is a corporate doctrine, but you got to look at your state constitution as well. Now, usually I'll just hit one area entitled Ballotpedia, which they're very good. They're very accurate in these areas, so I like using that. You can read it better and all that good stuff. And I'm going to add that to the memo as well. And of course, they have a Declaration of Rights. We'll just look at that. And it says here, Alaska's right of privacy and all that. Alaska's right to bear arms. Okay, Article 1, Section 1, the Constitution is dedicated to the principle that all persons have natural right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and enjoyment of the awards of their own industry. That all persons are equal and entitled to equal rights and opportunities and protected under law, and that persons have corresponding obligations to the people and the state. Now I'm going to go on down here. Free speech. Every person may free freely, write, and publish on all subjects being responsible for the abuse of that right. That's Section 5 of Article 1. And Article 7, Section 7, excuse me. Self-incrimination. No person shall be put in jeopardy twice for the same offense. No person shall be compelled in any criminal proceeding to a witness against himself. Right there. You have the right to remain silent under Article 1, Section 9 of Alaska's Constitution. And I'm just going to keep on going down here. Searches and seizures. All that. But even though it's dismissed, you got to always keep your head up. Of course, construction. Enumeration of rights in this Constitution shall not impair or deny others retained by the people, as Section 21 under the Declaration of Rights, and the right of privacy. The right of people to privacy is recognized and shall not be infringed. The legislature shall implement this section. That's 22. And of course, resident preference. Section 23. The Constitution does not prohibit the state from granting preferences on the basis of Alaska's residents to residents of the state or non-residents to the extent permitted by the Constitution of the United States. So I'm going to keep this handy. Just to let you folks know, a little more ammunition, the more, the merrier. Don't just rely on the U.S. Constitution. That's in corporate doctrine. You got states' rights as well. You hear a motorcycle coming through here. That's all right. But the fact is this. You got natural-born rights, and they can't do a damn thing about it. So always remain vigilant. All right, my friends, that is it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us on social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, if there's something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence to the corn. Furthermore, I'm going to leave all my footnotes, plus my contacts, social media sites, and email addresses on my Spreaker page. All right, once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.